We're starting Be'ezras Hashem, Vayoel Moshe, Maamar Shalosh Shevuos, Siman Tes. And the subject is, first of all, to wrap up what we've been saying in the last few Simanim, that we had a kasha in the first Siman on Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says it's auster to go from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, right? So the question was, that has that shtim with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Akol Malin, that a husband could force a wife, and a wife could force a husband to go up to Eretz Yisrael. So how does Rabbi Yehuda and the Maamar have the right to be cholik on a Mishnah and say that you're not allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael? Yeah? So now we're finally coming to answer up that question. So let's begin in Siman Tes. Nachzor le'inyaneinu. Let's go back to our subject. The loy kasha midi al Rabbi Yehuda. It's not a kasha at all on Rabbi Yehuda. Mihach masnisin u'braisa dakol malin. From the law that you're allowed to force a husband or wife to go up to Eretz Yisrael. The loy miboy l'das ha'maram. It's for sure not a problem according to the Maram in Rottenburg. The masnisin u'braisa loy ma'iri el bisman ha'mikdash, because he holds that the Mishnah of Hakol Malin is only talking bisman shebeis mikdash kayim, right? Bisman is there. He holds only the husband could force the wife, not the wife could force the husband. And we explained why that was in the previous Simanim. But Al-Quds, you see that the Mishnah is not talking in all times.
Yeah, because the Mishnah does write the law, it doesn't apply for all times.
Right. So now that we see that, we can go one step further and say that Rabbi Yehuda will say the Mishnah completely doesn't apply Bisman Hazeh. Yes. He's saying, Rabbi Meir Rottenberg is saying that the Mishnah applies only Bisman Shebeis Mikdash Kayim. Bisman Hazeh, it's different. It didn't change. It's still there, but it changed.
Because the Mishnah usually doesn't state applies Bisman Hazeh or not.
Yeah.
Because the Mishnah was written just to record the Torah Shalfeh, not to give out the halacha.
Yeah, but usually Mishnayos apply Bisman Hazeh, unless they're talking about Kodshim, Beis Mikdash, things like that. But if they're talking about something that could apply today, like Ksuvas, Masechta Ksuvas, usually almost everything Masechta Ksuvas applies today too. So there's no reason to suspect. That's why he had to spend 9 Siman improving this. There's no reason to suspect on just by looking at the Mishnah that it's not talking Bisman Hazeh.
Right, so Ksubos, you would reasonably therefore think, that it applies Bisman Hazeh, because Ksubos write about things Bisman Hazeh.
Right, you would think that, but now that he's proven that Rabbi Meir Rottenberg doesn't hold that way, he holds that it didn't change. So now we have the license to say that maybe Rabbi Yehuda will also hold it didn't change. Okay, Eino in klal. So he says that's not relevant at all with Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Yehuda's din. Deloi ma'iri el bisman habayis, because Rabbi Yehuda is only talking in the time of bisman hagolus, bisman of the exile. Even according to the Tur, shecholik al maram disagrees with the Meir Rottenberg, and he says that a husband and wife could both force each other even today. But he says, "Kasav atam de'i ma'iri bisman hazeh lo makoyfin oisa." He says that if Rabbi Yehuda is talking, not Rabbi Yehuda, if Meir Rottenberg would be talking Bisman Hazeh, the Yerushalmi really, it's coming from the Yerushalmi. So the Torah says, if that Yerushalmi would be talking during our times, nowadays, then he has Shver on the Meir Rottenberg, why should we force her? Nobody should be able to force anybody.
Yeah.
So he says, if you say that the Yerushalmi is talking Bisman Habayis, both should be able to force. Yeah. And if it's talking Bisman Hazeh, nobody should be able to force. But Al-Quds, you see from this that he's willing to entertain that the Mishnah could be talking only Bisman Habayis. He says, if the Yerushalmi had not distinguished between husband and wife, he wouldn't have had a problem with distinguishing between the time of the Beis Mikdash and the time of today. Yeah. It could be that Rabbi Yehuda loy mechalik klal bein ho'ish le'o'isha. Rabbi Yehuda just goes one step further. He says that Bisman Hazeh the Mishnah doesn't apply, and he makes no distinction between husband and wife. He says nobody could force anybody to go up. The whole Mishnah is only talking Bisman HaMikdash, loy Bisman Hazeh. Okay? Even though this is the Yerushalmi, but the Chassam Sofer says the Bavli disagrees, and his proof is Midakostav Hachdina Be'eved Bisman Hazeh, from the fact that the Talmud Bavli brings the law of the slave forcing the master, and we paskin like it. Shulchan Aruch brings it down. V'gam haram eino mefarish kein el l'das Yerushalmi. The Chassam Sofer wants to say that even the Rabbi Rottenberg only said it in the Yerushalmi, but not in the Bavli. Milvad shaloi nira kain miloshen haram ve'arosh. Besides the fact that it doesn't seem like this Chassam Sofer is correct. It seems like the Rabbi Rottenberg is talking even Bisman Hazeh. Even according to the Bavli, according to this the way the Rosh brings it down. Aval af lefi dvarav, even according to him, the Chassam Sofer, who says that Rabbi Rottenberg is only talking in the Yerushalmi, and the Bavli disagrees. Still, ein kush yeklal in Rabbi Yehuda Sofer ka Yerushalmi. We still have the Yerushalmi to rely on, so Rabbi Yehuda could hold like the Yerushalmi. Okay, Aval kvar nisbar shedasa beishmuel shehevi shidus haram lefsak halacha hu nachon miyushav nikol akushis. In any case, he says we've explained that it's not shver what the Chassam Sofer asks, and the Beis Shmuel who brings down this Rami Rottenberg as halacha l'maisa fits with every place we can
Wait, what did the Beis Shmuel say before?
The Beis Shmuel is the one who brought down in Shulchan Aruch, on the side of Shulchan Aruch, he brings down this din that the wife cannot force the husband bisman hazeh.
Right.
And the Chassam Sofer said that's only the Rami Rottenberg, and it's only in the Yerushalmi, and the Bavli disagrees, so we don't paskin like it.
Right,
Yeah.
so we probably nobody can force your bisman hazeh.
Well, no, if I care, we paskin everybody can force bisman hazeh. Here,
But
the
according to the Bavli,
right, the Bavli, in other words, it goes like this: the Mishnah says everybody can force.
Yeah.
We hold like that Mishnah even bisman hazeh. Rabbi Rottenberg downgrades it one step, and he says only the husband can force the wife.
Yeah.
But we don't paskin like him, according to the Chassam Sofer. Beis Shmuel, yeah. And then the third sheet is Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the whole din doesn't apply bisman hazeh. Nobody can force anybody. But we don't hold like him. He's about to say that now. Next paragraph. Gam masha hiksha harif. This is what the Rabbi Yoshia Pinto, the Mefarish on the bottom of the Ein Yaakov, asks, that there's the member in the Gemara that someone who lives in Chutz La'aretz is as if he worships idols. So that kasha, he said that's a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda, right? How could Rabbi Yehuda say it's also to go there to Yisrael? It's not allowed to stay in Chutz La'aretz. It's like worshipping idols. So we explained already that's not a kasha. Loi kasha midi the kvar nisbar she'ein zeh el bizman habayis. That whole statement about worshiping idols is only said during the Beis Hamikdash times, when there was a Jewish government, and if you go out to live under a Goyish government, then it's as if you're worshiping their idols. Yeah. For Rabbi Yehuda vaday the motzei savar kain. So once we explain that, even according to us, so Rabbi Yehuda can for sure hold that way, and he could hold that living in Chutz La'aretz is not equivalent to idol worship. Yeah. Omnam. So now he's going to say we paskin like Reb Zeir, not like Rabbi Yehuda. We don't paskin like this whole shita here. Even though we understand Rabbi Yehuda's shita about not going to Eretz Yisrael, but like kasha midi, there's no kasha on it. The halacha is like Reb Zeir that it's mutter to go to Eretz Yisrael. Shaharei harif, ve'arosh, ve'atur, ve'shulchan aruch, all the poskim heviu lahalacha hachta hakol malin. Afilu bisman hazeh. They all bring down the din of hakol malin. Right, so both can force each other.
Right. So contrary to what was said before.
Contrary to the Meir Rottenberg, and contrary to Rabbi Yehuda.
And contrary to what we learned before, that if we were to allow the wife to force the husband, then we could think that she's doing it for the money, or doing it for niyuf.
Right. That was a pshat that he said to explain the Meir Rottenberg.
So we're still not, even though it seems very, very good reasoning, we still don't follow it.
Right, that's just he said that as a pshat in that rishon, but he's still a yachid. That rishon, it's not like any other of the rishonim.
Right, although it seems very reasonable that we should have a takana in case the wife is planning znus or niyuf, or in case the wife wants money from the husband.
Not that she's planning niyuf. That's not what he said. He said that she's just doing it to get out of the marriage in order to marry somebody.
Right, meaning she wants to marry somebody else, or she wants money.
Right.
Etc. So although it sounds very good, still no most strong reason like that. The whole reason sounds very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gam Haram, the Rami Rottenberg was the one who was mechalik. So Soiver the Al-Koponim be'ish who came. He at least holds that the husband could force the wife.
For the reason mentioned before, that the husband has to support his wife, and the husband is as permitted to other women. So women have to just inspection.
Right. So even he, the point here is that even he agrees that there's a mitzvah to go there to Israel, because you see the husband can force the wife at least. who can gam bisman hazeh. This din applies even today. So even according to the Rami Rottenberg, there's a mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael bisman hazeh, and therefore we don't go like Rabbi Yehuda. Well, the Rabbi Yehuda ain't zeh ela bisman habayis. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the whole din of forcing anybody is only bisman habayis. So we see all these Rishonim, the whole list that we just brought, the Rif, the Rosh, the Tur, the Shulchan Aruch, and the Rameir Rottenberg, all don't agree with Rabbi Yehuda. They don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Gam Chazinin b'Gemara, and another proof that we hold not like Rabbi Yehuda is we see in the Gemara many stories of people that went to Eretz Yisrael. He's going to say, Kama Amoraim, the Salku mi Babel Eretz Yisrael, who went up from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, like Ula, Reb Zera, and the Asu Ma'aser Rav, Rav Kahana, the like Rabbi Yehuda. They all paskin not like Rabbi Yehuda.
On the other hand,
must have held like Reb Zera that a Yachid is allowed to go there.
Right, on the other hand, many Amorai moved from Eretz Yisrael to Babel, like Rav Dimi, Zeiri, Shmuel.
Well, it's true that they did that, but it doesn't have any relevance to what we're talking about here. We're trying to prove whether it's mutter or asr to move to Eretz Yisrael.
I see.
Okay, now in the first edition of Vayoel Moshe, which was published a year earlier than this one, 1959 or 58 possibly, the Siman ended here. And then when the Rebbe put this out 2 years later, together with the other two Maamarim, he added on the rest of the Siman here to answer up some people that had tainas on what he wrote. So listen what he writes here. He says, after this was printed, Shamati mefakfakim. I heard that people had doubts about what I wrote. This is I wrote halacha krib zera. Why? Because there's one conspicuously missing posek from this list. Who do you think it is?
Rambam.
Right, the Rambam. Now, what does the Rambam say about this machlokes? So take a look. Shahari mavur bekesef mishneh ilchos malachim soif perek hey al mashakasav Rambam sham. The Rambam says something interesting there at the end of Perek Hey Malachim. He says, "Kashem she'aser lotzeis me ha'aretz l'chutz la'aretz, kach aser lotzeis mi bavel l'shar ratzos. Shenemar bavela yuvau v'shama yiyu." So the Rambam says, just like it's aser to go from Eretz Yisrael to another place, so too it's aser to go from Bavel to another land, to other lands. And he brings the pasuk of Rabbi Yehuda, "Bavela yuvau v'shama yiyu." There they will stay. Now, if you remember, there are two members of Rabbi Yehuda. There's one that he said on his own, and one that he said in the name of Shmuel. On his own, he said, "Kol ha'ola mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael over ba'aseh." Anyone who goes from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael is over on a positive command. Then, on Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, he said a different member. He said, "Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel." Kach aser lotzeis mi Bavel l'shar ratzos. Just like it's aser to go from Eretz Yisrael, it's aser to go from Bavel to shar ratzos. So that member, he doesn't bring any pasuk. So here the Rambam is kind of mixing the two. He's bringing the lashon of Kuf Yud Aleph, but he's bringing the pasuk of Kuf Yud. So what's going on over here? So he says, the hach member the Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, the one that he said in the name of Shmuel, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, she'aser latzis mi Bavel, chadahi. The Rambam held that it's one din, it's all one thing. Remember the Rabbi Yehuda Dil'el minei, together with the first Rabbi Yehuda, she'amar kol ha'ola mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael over ba'aseh. The one where he said that anyone who goes to Eretz Yisrael is over b'aseh. Shenemar b'vala yuvav v'shama yiyu. So that's the Kesef Mishnah talking now. The Kesef Mishnah is saying that the Rambam meant that these two members are the same halacha. So obviously it's going to come out that when he says that it's not allowed to leave Bavel, he means to leave anywhere, even to Eretz Yisrael. The Kesef Mishnah says it's mashma that the other Amoraim held like this Rabbi Yehuda on Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, and that's why the Rambam paskin like it. So ad kan. So nimsa lefi zeh l'das the Kesef Mishnah pasuk Rambam Rabbi Yehuda v'loik Reb Zera. Comes out the Kesef Mishnah holds that the Rambam paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. I have the Kesef Mishnah copied off here. You can look at it. It's on the first kuntris of Maamar Mekaymis. It's on page. Get it? First kuntris. Here it is, page 5. And I'm not going to go through it inside because we just said it, but we're going to have to look at it soon because of the Lechem Mishnah. So you can get it open, page 5 over here.
Alright, yeah, so the Kesef Mishnah right here, this yellow highlighted, right?
Right. So the Kesef Mishnah says that the Rambam is mixing the two Maamarim of Rabbi Yehuda, and he says, Rabbeinu Kosev HaMemra de Oster Lotzes Mivavel L'Shara Rotzos V'Af Eretz Yisrael B'Chlal. The Rambam brings the second Memra and Daf Kufid Aleph, but he brings even Eretz Yisrael is included in it. Mashma Asim B'Gemara, the Amorai Basroi Nami Hachi Spir Lehu. It's Mashma, the other Amoraim agreed with it, so that's why he passed them like it. Okay, so what do we do about this? So, by the way, even if we're going to say like this Rambam, it's not going to be usher to go from a different country to Eretz Yisrael. It's only going to be usher to go from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael.
Right, it only said Bavel.
What? Yeah, it only says Bavel. But Al Kapanim, it still shows that we pass him like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rav Zeir.
Okay.
So let's see what he answers on this. He says, Aval hinei halechem mishnah sham, hebi das Rashi zal, shekasta behach memra de usher latzis mi Bavel shehum bishvil sheyesh sham yeshivos. The Mishnah brings that Rashi says in Daf Kufid Aleph that the reason why you can't leave Bavel is because it's not because of the pasuk that they shall go to Bavel and Navi tells them to go to Bavel. It's because it's a place where Yidden live and there's yeshivas and there's Torah, like we saw the Chazon Ish brought in the first countries. The Chazon Ish says that it's also to leave Poland.
And Poland's like Eretz Yisrael because it has Torah.
Right, and it's like Bavel. It's all the same idea. A place that's a Torah place, you can't leave. So you can't leave Eretz Yisrael, you can't leave Bavel, you can't leave Poland. Maybe today you can't leave America.
Well, so much for the Zionists anyhow, who can't wait to see America's Torah wiped out.
Yeah. They want everyone to make Aliyah.
Yeah, they can't wait to see the extinction of communities and dollars. Yeah.
So this is the thing. So the Rashi learns that this memra is nothing to do with Bavela Yuva Shamayu. It's a din in a place that's a Torah place you can't leave. So it's not going to come out like this Rambam. It's going to come out that if you want to go to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel, you could, because Eretz Yisrael, in the time of the Gemara, was a Torah place. Yeah. There was Rabbi Yochanan was there. So when Rabbi Zeir went up to Eretz Yisrael, he went to learn by Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shalosh. Okay, so take a look. He says,
but Rav Moshe does say that the Iker to greater Iker was in Bavel. That's why Bavel was the Iker Gemara.
Later, it's true. Later, the Eretz Yisrael yeshivas kind of died out, and the Bavel ones took over. Yeah, but at the time of Rabbi Yochanan was just as much of a yeshiva as Rav.
I see.
Okay, I don't know exactly if they were equal or not, but the point is that they were.
But both were able to be close on each other on a high enough level.
Right. So now he says, "V'nimsa the less like the Rambam." It comes out that Rashi doesn't hold like the Rambam. The time of Mishum Dichsiv Bavela Yuvo. The Rambam says the time because of the pasuk of Babel Yuvo. The Svilei the Rashi zal the Haikra the Babel Yuvo loy have el de lo yalu Eretz Yisrael daika. Rashi holds that pasuk is talking about going to Eretz Yisrael and really from anywhere. Lav davka from Babel. The point is not Babel. The point is not to go to Eretz Yisrael. Because the Kamar Kra ad yoim pakti oisam until the day when I revisit them. The lo yalu me'aleim. They shouldn't go on their own. Aval aratzus acherois yelchu. But from Babel to other lands, mitzad that pasuk, they would be allowed to go. Ilav taima the yesham yeshivas harbe. If not for the other reason on Daf Kufid Aleph that there are yeshivas in Babel. The heavy rayas b'das Rashi zal, and the Lechem Mishnah brings rayas brings proofs to Rashi. Gam maksha tuva al mashanir midas Rambam dohani trei memers chada. He says he has a lot of kashas on this Rambam. There's mashma, like the Kesef Mishnah says, that the Rambam learns that the two statements of Rabbi Yehuda are one and the same. The Gama Memra Shniya She'aser Latzis Mi Bavel L'Shar Ratzis Hu Mi Taima Dekrada Bavel Yuvo. That Rambam holds that the second memra of Rabbi Yehuda is also because of the same pasuk. The Imkain, if so, Lama Lo Yamar Le'el Kol HaYotzim Mi Bavel Oiver Basei. If the whole vort was to leave Bavel, the Rambam should have said Kol HaYotzim Mi Bavel Oiver Basei.
What did Rabbi say?
The Gemara. We're talking about the Gemara. Why did Rabbi Yehuda say Kol ha'olam mibavel li Eretz Yisrael oiver ba'aseh? Sounds like the main thing is going to Eretz Yisrael. Whereas according to this, the Rambam, it should say Kol ha'yotzim mibavel oiver ba'aseh. You leave Babel, you could go anywhere from Babel. You go to Europe, you're oiver ba'aseh. Makes no difference where you go.
Right, so we will go anywhere, because if the issue was that it's a place of
Torah, right?
If the issue was, then any place will be out. Just Eretz Yisrael. Because if Bavel is the main Torah place, other places are not places of Torah. That should be the real issue then.
That's the issue. So the issue should be Hayoyte mi Bavel. The issue should not be oil Eretz Yisrael.
So like, making it sound there's something bad Eretz Yisrael itself means from Bavel.
Right.
As if not just the Torah is a Bavel.
Right. So that's the Lechem Mish's kasha on the Rambam. V'lama Omar kol hayoyte mi Bavel li Eretz Yisrael over basei. The mashma de l'shar ratzos loy. That's mashma that the only problem is Eretz Yisrael, but other places is mutter. The chitem, if you're going to tell me the revusa nakte, that maybe the reason why Rav Yehuda said Eretz Yisrael was just for a chiddush. The afil Eretz Yisrael over. That even Eretz Yisrael compared to Bavel is a less Torah place. So even there you over basei. If you're going to go with the time of the Torah place, if you're going to go with a different time of Bavel Yuvo, fine. So it's a din to stay in Bavel. That's it. Bavel. Don't leave Bavel. So if that's the pshat, then even Eretz Yisrael and Kol Shekhein other places. Kol Shekhein l'shar ratzos. Im kein, if that's the pshat, then lama hutzrach su lemember the aser latzis mi Bavel l'shar ratzos. Then why did Rabbi Yehuda have to say in Daf Kufid Aleph another statement that it's also to go from Bavel to other lands? Right? If he already told us that it's also to go to Eretz Yisrael, then Kal v'chomer it's also to go to other lands
because they're not even holy.
Right. V'oid herich lahakshos, and the Lechem Mishnah goes on asking questions. V'siyem da'ashmua muchachas kedas Rashi zal. Ayin sham. So the Lechem Mishnah comes out that he holds like Rashi, basically.
Because Bavel is a place of Torah, and usually a place of Torah.
That what? It's a place of Torah, right. V'nimzel lefi zel l'choyra, he plugged to ben Rashi v'Rambam zal. So at least now we have it's a machlokes. Before these people asked on the Rebbe from the Rambam, right? So okay, now at least he's boiled it down that it's a machlokes Rashi and the Rambam. Im lahalacha aser latzis mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael shezeh ikar pluksis Rav Yehuda v'Rab Zeira. It's a machlokes if it's allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael, Rashi and the Rambam. And by the way, I said before that even the Rambam would agree that it's mutter to go from Europe to Eretz Yisrael or America to Eretz Yisrael. He's just talking about Bavel.
So, from what the point of view is.
Right. But Al Kaponim, you see, it's a machlokes Rashi and the Rambam, at least for now. However, be'emes gam b'divrei Rambam zal, he says, even in the Rambam we can say a different pshat, not like the Kesef Mishnah pshat. Masha hevin ha-Kesef Mishnah b'kavanasai, shegam l'Eretz Yisrael aser, hu dvar tema. It's unbelievable to learn that way, that the Rambam meant that even Eretz Yisrael is aser. Kasha and kasha b'zel Lechem Mishnah, as we just saw, the Lechem Mishnah asked. Gam ha-marit b'soif ksubas, cost of the mehach memra de aser latzis mi Bavel l'shar ratzos. The Marit's going to say that it's mashma not like the Rambam, because it says you're not allowed to go to other lands. Other lands is mashma not Eretz Yisrael. Mashma de Eretz Yisrael mutter. V'hanach tarti memra lav chalahi. So you see, clearly these two statements are not the same. Elahadi de v'had Rabbi. One of them was his own, and one of them was his Rabbi Shmuel's statement. Because of achakach, the Marit says later, the yesh tema ala Rambam shekasta b'hach de aser latzes mi Bavel l'shar ratzos shehumi time de krad Babel yuvo. He says the same thing we've been asking all this time. How could the Rambam say that the reason why it's not allowed to leave Bavel is because of the pasuk she'ein tam zeh ela le'eretz Yisrael? Meaning that time of the pasuk Babel yuvo is a din in Pekida. Be in Bavel and don't come out until the exile is over, until Hashem revisits you. But not to go to other places. That pasuk doesn't ask her to go from Bavel to Europe. So why should it be asked? Because of oid kusha sal divrei Rambam b'zev v'loy tir it's me'uma Union Sham. The Maharit also doesn't like the Rambam. He's also has this very big problem. Uva hagois emek hamelech me'agoin hakadosh morenu Reb Abish mi Frankfurt the Main. There's an interesting statement. It's in the back of the Rambam, and I have it copied off here in this country.
Was Abish me Frankfurt was the Rav who wrote it?
He was the Rav who wrote it. It's a small commentary in the back of the regular Rambams that we have.
Was this the Rishon or Achron?
He's an Achron, and he is from the 1700s.
So a late one then.
He's a middle Achron.
1700 late Achron. Yeah, okay.
And if anybody knows the story of the Cleaver Get. You ever heard the story of the Cleaver Get? There was a famous get that all the Rabbanim of Europe argued about in the 1760s, I think. So this story, Rabbi Avraham Abish from Frankfurt was on one side. He held the get was puzzle. All the Rabbanim of Europe held the get was kasha. There was a big machlokes over whether the lady was allowed to remarry.
And how did the story end?
They say the story ended that the husband and wife got back together again. Because the issue was that the husband claimed to be, he acted insane, and then he gave a get while he was insane. So the question is whether it was a kosher get or not. Then eventually he came back and got married to her again.
So where do I look?
So on page 2, in this week's Maamar over here, this one.
Right here.
Second page.
Sure.
First page I just copied off that from Siman Zion. We didn't speak of that, but that was the Ran and the Darn. Anyway, over here on page 2, the Emek HaMelech, if you take a look, it's on the right side here, the Kesef Mishnah. It's like, it says Halach Yud Beis, and then it says a couple lines down, B'Chaf Mem, Kesef Mishnah, he says, L'shar Ratzis.
Is your highlighted part?
Yeah, it's the highlighted part.
Yeah.
Ule'el Neha. He says, Tzarech Iyon. He brings the Kesef Mishnah that says that the Rambam holds that the two members are one. And he says, Tzarech Iyon, the Mavur Nira B'Gemar, the Haid Omer Rav Yehuda Mishmei Shmuel, V'Hai Omer Mishmei Nafshei. He says, these two members are not the same. One's in the name of Shmuel, and one's in the name of himself. Upali Bar Reb Zera. Reb Zera argues on the first one that he said in the name of himself. Uvamai the Omer Mishmei Shmuel, Hu the Kaimi Amaroi Kavase. And when we find Amoraim holding like Rabbi Yehuda, like the Kesef Mishnah says, that's only in the second member that you said in the name of Shmuel, that you're not allowed to leave Bavel. V'zu das Rabbeinu. That's what the Rambam meant. Kitzer, he says that the Rambam didn't mean what the Kesef Mishnah says he means. He's saying the Rambam meant only the pasuk like the second member. The Rambam wouldn't have kept quiet and not told us that it's not allowed to go there to Israel. So from the fact that the Rambam doesn't say that, he just says, Asur Lord says mi Bavel, l'shar Ratzis. He doesn't say afilu Eretz Yisrael. So if it would have been afilu Eretz Yisrael, the Rambam would have said so. It doesn't say so. It means that it's also to go to other places, but it's mutter to go to Eretz Yisrael. He says, Devadei lo yav shasik. He wouldn't have been quiet. Ela deloi pasuk kavase. The Rambam doesn't pasuk like the first Rabbi Yehuda. V'chein kama maisim muchichim deloi Rabbi Yehuda. Many stories in the Gemara about people going to Eretz Yisrael. U'meyata kushis alecha mishnah chazaka. There's a big kasha that this lecha mishnah asks. Ve'ein loymar. Basically, the kasha is that why did the Rambam bring the pasuk of Bavel Yuvo if he's talking about the second one? He says ve'ein loymar. He's marich over here. I don't want to read everything, but people can take a look. This is where he discusses this kasha. So Vayoel Moshe quotes him here. He says Tama. He's asked to kasha al Kesef Mishnah. The cost of the Vadai loy have a shasik Rabbeinu milash meinu chiddush zeh. The Afler Eretz Yisrael lo yala. Elodoi pasuk of it's clear that the Ram didn't paskin like the first Rabbi Yehuda. V'chein kan ma'asim mechichim delay Rabbi Yehuda. El b'memra shnia. Shalom Mishmei the Shmuel Shaloi Latzei the Shar Ratzis. Who the Kaimi Amorai Kavase? We only hold like the second member. V'zu das Rabbeinu. Aval Ba'aliyah mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael loy pasuk Rabbi Yehuda elok Reb Zera. He doesn't pasuk like Rabbi Yehuda. He pasuk like Reb Zera that it's mutter for a yachid. Elodin is kasha acher kach letarit kushet alecha mishnah chazaka v'siyim b'tzarech iyun. The Emek HaMelech ends off that it's shver. This Rambam. The pasuk he brings doesn't match the din that he's saying.
It's unclear on therefore.
Right.
So what? So many first were confused on the Rambam himself on this.
Right.
Well,
it's very confusing. The Kesef Mishnah has a point. The Rambam brings the pasuk Bavel Yuvo, so it sounds like we paskin like the first Rabbi. Yeah. What?
Okay, so from Bavel, you're not to leave Bavel there just Yisrael. So it's strange. If Bavel was the issue with Makam Torah, why only Yisrael? Other places too. It was like the Mishnah was saying.
Why only Eretz Yisrael? No. What do you mean? Echanami. Other places are for sure Aser.
For sure, almost. As I was saying before, if Bavel is the issue place of Torah, you leave Bavel. You go to Eretz Yisrael, there's less Torah. Kol in other places, so why only Eretz Yisrael? So
why only Eretz Yisrael? Well, that was the kasha of the first member. But the Rambam brought the second member. That's not a problem. The problem is the pasuk he brings. He mixes and matches. He brings the second member, but he brings the first member's pasuk. That's the problem.
Right, and there's confusion if it's Bavel, that's the place of Torah, is Bavel itself, like the pasuk says.
Yeah,
because the pasuk was clearly not referring to the Bavel, the place. It was just clearly the Gzer at the time of Yirmiyahu Navi.
Yeah. Okay. Uve Sefer Nishmas Kol Chai Me'agoin HaChabif. This is Reb Chaim Ben Yaakov Palaji. He was in the 1800s, a Rav in Turkey, in Smyrna.
Palaji sounds more Italian.
Right, but he was a famous Sephardi Rav. He's the Chacham Bashi. the chief rabbi of Turkey. So he wrote a lot of Sfarim, and one of the Sfarim is called Nishmas Kol Chai, and he says, B'simen mem tes, hechlit deloi kaim lon Rabbi Yehuda. He says, we don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, ela kreb zera. Okay, v'kasav v'zel l'shaynai. Da'afilu Rambam, the pasuk perk hey milchas malachim she'aser lotzis mibavel l'shar rotzis. Even the Rambam who does bring down a shtickle Rabbi Yehuda, lav Eretz Yisrael b'chlal. He doesn't mean Eretz Yisrael. Shari motzinu b'kamur amoraim da'alu v'lo yishkichu b'zeh. We find many amoraim who went to Eretz Yisrael. U'masha kasav maran b'kesef Mishnah. This is what the Kesef Mishnah says, that the Rambam did paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, the Eretz Yisrael b'chlal. He says, Achar ha-mechila ru'uya, after asking mechila from the Kesef Mishnah, near the lesa. I think it's not true. I think the Rambam doesn't mean like that. This is the Reb Chaim Palaji talking.
Well, he's arguing with the Kesef Mishnah?
Yeah.
So Kesef Mishnah was like in his times or before?
Before. The Kesef Mishnah was the 1500s.
Right, so he's
in the 1800s. So he's asking mechila from the Kesef Mishnah, but basically he says it doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't agree with him. It needs to be, okay.
So far, basically, we have the Rabbi Avraham Abish from Frankfurt disagreeing with the Kesef Mishnah, and we have the Reb Chaim Palaji disagreeing. Okay. The Havalei Lifsaik, he says, if the Kesef Mishnah would have been correct, the Rambam should have paskin the Ha'olam Mibavel Eretz Yisrael over Ba'aseh. He should have said explicitly Eretz Yisrael. And the Rambam didn't say that, so it's...
What were the exact Rambam's words?
The Rambam's words are Kashem she'aser latzes me ha'aretz l'chutz la'aretz.
Yes.
Kach aser latzes mi Bavel l'shar aratzos.
But not to Eretz Yisrael.
It's mashma not Eretz Yisrael, because otherwise he would have said so, right?
Right, he'll say it openly.
Now, Gama Yavitz, Rabbi Yaakov Emden, B'Siduroi, also 1700s, in his Siddur. He has a lot of halachas in his Siddur, and he says, B'Hakdama, in the introduction there, Hechlit she'ein halacha k'Rav Yehuda. We don't paskin that it's also to go there to Israel. Ela shel shaynoi tzarchian. It's a little bit shver his lashon. Aval hevi mikama mekoymis b'shas harba amoraim ein mispar she'asu ma'asev v'nasu min bavel Eretz Yisrael. We bring countless stories of Amoraim who went there to Israel. Im kein kulam stavik Rabbi Zera. They all held like Rabbi Zera. So that's the raya that we paskin like Rabbi Zera. V'zeh v'adai raya she'ein aliyah she'ein aleha tshuva. It's a raya that has no answer to it that we paskin like Rabbi Zera. Uv'shas lo ira b'shum makom mikol oisna mekoyim sheheviu ma'aser rav me'anoisim mibavel Eretz Yisrael. We never find the Gemara mentioning anything when an Amoyer goes to Eretz Yisrael that this is against Rabbi Yehuda's Shita.
Right, you're right. That we don't find, and at the same time, we don't ever find those who show they were criticized.
Right. Just
like if they tried to use it to their advantage, that many Amoraim, left Baal Eretz Yisrael and weren't criticized. But on the other hand, many left Eretz Yisrael but weren't criticized.
Right, that's true too. But the point is that it's not asked to go. So how could you push aside this raya and say, like the Kesef Mishnah says, that we don't paskin like
so
this?
So these later Acharonim, already in the 1700s, were struggling with the Kesef Mishnah views. I see.
But we still need to answer, even according to them, we still need to answer Hakusha Chazaka. The big kasha here, Masha Hevi Rambam al Ze'akra de Bavel Yuvo. The Rambam brought the wrong pasuk l'choyer. The Rambam brought the pasuk from the first memra. Shemavur begamar dekay al Eretz Yisrael. V'zeh kusha samarit ushar mefarshim. That was the main kasha that all the mefarshim had. V'nir shezeh time shel Kesef Mishnah. That's also the Kesef Mishnah's reason for pasking like Rabbi Yehuda. Shehevi midivrei Rambam shegam Eretz Yisrael b'chlal. K'divrei Rabbi Yehuda midahevi al Ze'akra de Bavel Yuvo. The fact that the Rambam brings that pasuk. So now he's going to say a new answer to answer up that question. He says, Amnam lefi ma shekasav be'iyun Yaakov mibal Shevuos Yaakov al ho'ein Yaakov. Appears on ein Yaakov called the Iyun Yaakov. The ma shalamad Rav Yehuda mehach kra de she'aser latzes mibavel Eretz Yisrael who may reish the kra. So basically what he's going to say is that there's two halves of the pasuk. Bavela Yuvo means
come to Bavel.
Yeah, and don't go to Eretz Yisrael. That's one part of the memra. And then the second half is V'shama Yiyu, and not go to other lands. So he splits it up. He says one half of the pasuk is for Rabbi Yehuda's first din, and the other one is for the second din. And the Rambam passing like the second din, and he brought the pasuk. That's what he's going to say. He says, the drasha shniya shalamad she'aser latzes mibavel shar ratzos. This second drasha, he misay for the kra. It comes from the end of the pasuk because of Shama Yiyu. There they will be. Shahum miyuter. which is an extra 2 words. The Havalei Lichtov Babel Yuvo Ad Yoim Pakti Oisam. It just should say they will be in Babel and be brought there and stay there until I revisit them. Why does it have to say they will V'Shama Yiyu? There they will be. It's coming for an extra drasha that you can't go out to other lands. It's a shtickle problem, the lashon there, but basically that's what he's saying.
He's saying, in other words, in short, what's being said here? That
the pasuk that Rabbi Yehuda brought, Bavela Yuvahu Shama Yiyu, really teaches us 2 things. It teaches us it's not allowed to go from Babel to Eretz Yisrael. That's the first Rabbi Yehuda. And then it teaches us that it's also to go from Babel to any place in the world. That's Shama Yiyu. And in that second half, we paskin like him, not the first half.
The first is you can't leave Babel to any part of the world?
Right. But Eretz Yisrael, we don't paskin like him.
That you could do. So,
and it still comes from the same pasuk, which explains why the Rambam was able to bring that pasuk. He says, "Aval efshel yashiv b'derech zeh das Rambam lefi das kama gedolim deloi sabri kesem Mishnah." According to these achronim that we brought here that don't hold like the kesem Mishnah, el kapir shel amarit devahach member she'asru lotzis mibavel l'shar rotzis ein Eretz Yisrael b'chlal. When Rabbi Yehuda says it's not allowed to go to other lands, he means except for Eretz Yisrael. Umash kosav Rambam al zeh. That's the second Rabbi Yehuda, by the way. Umash kosav Rambam. Al zeh hadrasha me'oisei akra. This that the Rambam brings down the first pasuk, the very same pasuk from the first member. Ein zu hadrasha de Rabbi Yehuda shalomad mireisha de Babel Yuvo. The Babel Yuvo. It's not from the first half of the pasuk Babel Yuvo. She'asu v'alos Eretz Yisrael. That's not allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael. The Bozel lo'ikaim alon kavase. In that aspect, we don't hold like him. El krib zeira machmas kama sugis hashas. Shahar b'amuroim asu ma'aser rav lalos Eretz Yisrael vein poitz apel mitzavtzev. We said before, many Amoraim went to Eretz Yisrael, nobody protested. What we do paskin like is the second drasha that he said in the name of Shmuel, that's not allowed to go other places. That's learned out from the second half, the Kra. In that aspect, the Rambam holds like him, because in that Isser we find other Amoraim besides just Rabbi Yehuda who said it. The Sabri Kavasi. Rambam Zal, when the Rambam writes it down, Hetik al zeh kol akra. He copies down the whole pasuk. We see Bavel Yuvo v'Shama Yiyu. But really, the Kavanah Sayal Sefer. Really, he means the end. Sefer the Kra shall Yitur the Shama Yiyu. Canal. Like I said before. Basically, he means only the Sefer of the pasuk, even though he quotes the whole pasuk. Ula halacha, and just to wrap things up, he says, La halacha hinei afa kesef Mishnah. Even according to the kesef Mishnah, shehevi midvarav she'asir lotzis mibav l'Eretz Yisrael, Kedas Rav Yehuda, zeh vadai she'ein zeh mevur b'divrei Rambam. It's not explicitly like that in the Rambam. Ela shediak came the oisa hachacha shehevi akra b'avel yuvo. It's only from the fact that the Rambam quotes that pasuk. So he's going to say basically here that when you have 2 Rishonim saying different things, but one of them is beferish and one of them is not beferish. One of them is only a diuk. You go like the one that's beferish, because even though the Rambam may be against Rashi, maybe we go like the Rambam. But in this case, it's not a beferish Rambam. It's only a diuk in the Rambam. He says, "V'das Rashi zal b'vada she'en v'kein k'mashu kosav lechem Mishnah." Rashi for sure doesn't hold like this Rambam. Ukvar hevi abeis Yosef b'orchaim Siman Kuf Nun Tes me'atrumas adeshin. Beis Yosef brings down a rule in Psak from the Trumas Adeshin to the plug to the Rabavasa. When you have a machlokes in the Rishonim, af b'makom dekaimel and naktin and lekula, even in a place like where like let's say the Rabban and the Kedinim, where you want to go to kula, you want to be lenient. Mikol makom ma'ida ashkachna b'piskei agoyin and behedya. When you find one going, one Rishon, let's say like Rashi, holding one way. And you don't find anybody else saying explicitly against him. It's only a diuk. Only a raya that he holds that way. You can't go and knock down the other Rishon who's a beferish Rishon, like Rashi. Besides with the fact that many people don't hold it the Kesef Mishnah, they even explain the Rambam that also holds like this, the Soiva Kribzeira, Hein Lo'echachas Lashon Rambam, Aside from the words of the Rambam says, doesn't say Eretz Yisrael. Umikama Maisiyas b'kol makom b'Shas. Many stories all over Shas. V'kosabdi da halacha kreb zera kudas kama gedolim sheivesi umistaber tamayu. Therefore, I wrote that the halacha is like Reb Zera and not like Rav Yehuda. Okay. Good? Shkoyach.